Okay people, I gotta keep it real with you guys, and I know a lot of you may disagree with me, but I just gotta say how I feel. After reading Black Clover chapter 269 with the fight of Asta versus Liebe, aka the anti-magic devil, again Liebe, we'll figure it out when the anime drops with these episodes in a long time from now, how to pronounce it, but I truly feel like with this episode it yet again reaffirms a suspicion that I've been having for a bit now regarding the fate of Black Clover. I mean, take aside this chapter, which we're gonna dive the ins and outs of it and all that jazz or whatever, but if you look at where the franchise is right now in combination with the stuff that we're seeing in this chapter, it really feels like, you know, it's the grand finale that's leading in, you know, getting the full 360 scope to a certain degree of a character's journey, his adventure from where he was at to where he's at now. And yeah, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, this chapter, it gave me feels in certain aspects regarding just seeing like, yo, Asta really been through some shit. Like, his journey is really coming full circle, and we're seeing it through and through with his battle against the anti-magic devil that's been in his grimoire this entire series. And I'm not gonna sit here and tell you, like, if it is on the verge of ending, how much longer we have. It could be a year, it could be a year and a half to 2, but I don't see it being like what we had hoped for with Black Clover, with Yuki Tabata, of like, you know, another 5 or 10 years. I don't know, we gotta wait and see. Either way, we're about to dive into this bad boy. We're about to talk Asta versus Liebe, the anti-magic devil. Let's do it, baby. That Black Clover greatness! We've got a fight on our hand, people.
I say we gonna do what we do, no matter how you move, make your move. That's how it be, though.
Okay, people, so like I said in the intro, it does really feel like Black Clover is ending soon. Like, this chapter was a demonstration of, hey, look at everything. Even when the narrator, you know, breaks in to talk a little bit at the end of the chapter, midway through the chapter, I believe, while Asta is, like, you know, charging at Liebe, and it's saying, like, you know, he's been through all these fights and shit like that. It was kind of a retrospective of everything that Asta been through, on top of the fact that we've gotten big reveals. We know now, we finally seen the face of the anti-magic devil. We got his name, we got the anti-magic devil's backstory. Like, we're really just missing a few extra pieces, because to be honest with you, there's always more story to tell, there's always more exploration, but the big key points for a main shonen, or for a shonen for that matter, is the characterization and revealing things about the character. And like, we still got to find out more about Asta's heritage in terms of, okay, was that really his mom? Was Lasita his mother? Like, there's a few questions still that remain to be, you know, answered or whatnot. But in terms of, like, look at Yuno, we found out a lot. The big revelation, I mean, even arcs ago with the whole elves and shit, that was a pivotal factor of the story leading up onto where we're at now. Like, we've got a lot of questions answered. Mind you, there's still questions out there, but this chapter, again, is just kind of pushed forward. The chapter opens up with Asta recognizing Liebe's anger and hatred towards the devils. He understands it. I mean, at the end of the day, they're kind of on a similar page. Asta more so just wants to stop them. Liebe is like consumed with hatred, you know what I'm saying? He's like consumed by it. He's absorbed with wanting to kill them, like I said before, similar to Eren Yeager. He's kind of like Eren Yeager in the devil manifestation, so to speak, because like he just truly wants to murder them. Asta just wants to stop them and, you know, get them to piss off, so to speak. And we got a little more of, you know, the dialogue that we've been having with Liebe talking shit as if a one-armed magicless dude can stop me. And I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of happy when Asta punched him in the face. I just gotta keep it real, because you got a clashing of two, I guess you could say, similar ideals, just different approaches, right? Because like throughout this chapter, it really felt like something that Fairy Tail has tried and tried again to tackle. And I'm not talking about 100-Year Quest. I don't know, I haven't read 100-Year Quest in a long time, but the main series, Fairy Tail, the one that went on for like 10 freaking years, it seems as though it's tackling the whole friendship aspect, but just doing it right, doing it better than Fairy Tail at the very least. Because it's like, on one hand, throughout the chapter, again, you're getting Liebe talking about like, hey, you know, I did it on my own, I manifested on my own. And on the other hand, again, is a retrospect of Asta thinking of everybody that helped to shape him into who he is today. So they both got similar goals. They want to stop the evil. They're just on different paths to getting there. And some of the dialogue again in this chapter is like, okay, like when Noct is like, seeing as how Liebe has anti-magic, Asta's not at a disadvantage because he has no magic. Like, no shit, Sherlock. Like, Noct, You were a lot more interesting before you started rehashing plot lines that we already know are happening right now. So just relax, knock, shut up. And then at a point, Liebe takes Asta's swords, the Demon Slayer, I believe it's called, the two swords that he has, the main two swords he's been using throughout the series, which technically are Lit's swords that he had and whatnot. Asta remains and retains Yami's katana, which I thought that was really dope. I feel as though it's more and more pushing, and Tabata wants to stress, like, yo, what happened with Yami being kidnapped and them taking Yami and shit like that, it has been a big factor. It's been a character developing moment. I think this chapter even more so was pushing forth, like, look at how much this is pushing Asta to be even greater. He lost every sword except that one, and he's pushing forth. So it's kind of like, metaphorically, you know, he's running with Yami's will, so to speak. He hasn't fallen, and if anything, he's gotten even stronger now because he has something that he needs to save, somebody that he needs to rescue. Then for a period of time, Liebe is working Asta with his own katanas, with his own swords. Like, hate to see it, you know what I'm saying? Like, he just got Yami's katana, but the other two, which at the end of the day, being realistic, it's like, he's really not at disadvantage, like what Nox said. I mean, I know I'm reiterating what he reiterated, but if you think about it, like, really, what the fuck is he gonna do with those big swords that they're both anti-magic people? It's not like either one of them is spouting out magic, so it's kind of like truly fighting yourself. It's almost as if it's an Asta clone in a way, because neither one of them have magic. And you can really see how Liebe's mind manifested into being where he's at right now. Like, granted, I still don't feel like he's anywhere near a Lucifero or the devil that we fought in the Elf arc or anything like that, but he said the whole time he was in the grimoire, he just kept on thinking about revenge and killing these devils and over and over and over, which again, a la Eren Yeager. Like, I feel as though Eren Yeager, this is the end Attack on Titan leads to Eren being trapped in a grimoire, people. And then, of course, once Asta got the grimoire, he figured, yo, this is my way out. I can escape, use this guy's body, and it'll be a wrap. So, in a sense, if you think about it, Asta was like his hope at getting revenge, because if not, he would have still been trapped in that grimoire, waiting until a certain point of being able to get somebody. And if you think about it, he could have really, like, let's just say it wasn't Asta that got bestowed upon the grimoire, right? It was somebody else or whatever. This anti-magic devil, Liebe, could have really screwed somebody over, because just imagine if he started using his anti-magic on the next person that held that grimoire, and it wasn't somebody that was magicless. Let's just say it was Yuno. He could have been leaving Yuno without magic to fend for himself for, you know, the entirety of the series. So it kind of worked out. I mean, obviously it's, you know, according to the plot or whatever, but again, it could have been really bad if somebody else that had magic got linked up with him. It just so happened that, you know, fate bonded them together. That and Lucita, who could potentially be Asta's mom, but we still don't have 100% confirmation just yet. And Liebe says, no way this rage can lose to anything. And again, it's a clashing, like I said earlier, of ideals. Like, he's using rage, he's angry, he wants to kill. Asta's running off love. He wants to save somebody that he cares about. He wants to help people. He just wants to stop people from being victimized, so to speak. So again, it's a clashing of, like, the love and hatred and a whole thing of friendship on top of it, but it does it a lot better than Fairy Tail just screaming out friendship. Like, they do it subliminally in Black Clover, and I'm fine with that. Like, no hate here, trust me. And if it was over the top on some Fairy Tail shit, like, I love my friends, I'm gonna fucking tattoo my friend's fucking ass on my chest, I would have said, yo, Tabata, you bugging. And then as Asta starts dodging, he first thinks back to the dude from the water temple, and I can't remember his name and don't really care to, because I don't think he'll ever be that relevant again in the story. But again, giving us a recollection of the journey up until this point, and the, you know, the people that he battled against or battled with. You know, the narrator just pops in to start giving us, which is the main point of this chapter that really once again reminds me and makes me feel like I don't think Black Clover is going to last another 5 years, a la what Yuki Tabata said. Because don't get me wrong, Yuki Tabata could very well be wanting to and planning to do Black Clover for the next 5 or 10 years, right? But at the end of the day, it's Shueisha and the fandom that'll keep it going. If the sales aren't great, which they're not, and, you know, Shueisha decides to pull the plug, Bleach at its peak was way more popular than Black Clover ever was, and they still pulled the plug, stopped the anime and everything when it lost a bit of heat. So, you know, you never know. Not that I want to. I gotta stress that. I love Black Clover. This manga, it's gotten me through some tough times. Seeing this recollection, for that matter, in this chapter of a lot of the things that Asta went through, getting a little glimpse of, like, Mars again, and, you know, of course, Yami, the dude from the water temple, Lit, like, all of those memories and shit like that. I was like, oh man, you know, it really reminds me. So by no means take this as hate or that I want the series to end or anything like that. I love Black Clover. Again, like I said, it helped me in dark times. So shouts out to this series, but I'm not gonna be oblivious to some of the signs and the writings on the wall neither. And I ain't gonna lie, that Yami silhouette when Asta's using the katana. Again, it all wraps up, and it really makes that moment that Yami got captured have more meaning. The fact that you could see that Asta, he learned a lot from his sensei or his captain, whatever you want to call Yami to him at this point, his big bro, so to speak. Like, yeah, and you know, again, like I said, you get the flash and the silhouette of all the characters and shit, and it was a special moment. This was a big moment in Black Clover history. Again, it's taking 268 chapters of adventure and showcasing what that's done for this character's progression from the beginning to now. But Liebe can't believe it. You know, he again reflects of how he's been cursing them all this time, all on his own, which once again reaffirms what I'm saying of like, he's talking the, I don't need nobody, I did it on my own, I cursed them all on my own. He was able to manifest the magic, the anti-magic ability from being alone and just constantly harboring this hatred for demons and devils that it manifested, which is, it's crazy getting into a discussion of manifestation in Black Clover, but why not? It's a magical series. And you know, again, that's clashing with Asta not being all alone all this time, having all these people in the journey and pushing forth that, you know, doing it on your own is not going to succeed and you're going to end up falling into a pit of despair opposed to Asta. But it's kind of fucked up because did Liebe have any choice? The woman that, you know, gave him a new perspective on life ended up getting murdered in front of him and he ended up getting locked in a book. What else could he do but be hateful and, you know what I'm saying, feel like just I want to murder everybody that did this to, you know, taking my light away from me. So you can't really blame him, but I guess it's also to help change. If you think about it, it almost makes it seem like this is intentional to, you know, bring the anti-magic devil Liebe to the right side, so to speak, which, yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, mastering Krama, mastering the hollow, whatever you want to call it, like bringing them to this idea of doing it alone isn't gonna work. You need friendship, you need friends, you need people that care about you. So yeah, it just sucks that, you know, he had a reason, like he deadass had a reason to feel that way. Shoutouts to and RIP to Lucita. And the chapter ends with once again Asta lunging at him. I'm surprised. I honestly thought that the fight was going to be concluded. Not that I'm mad about it, because I like when fights take, you know, a couple chapters. I don't want everything to constantly be wrapped up in one, which is one of the reasons why I've loved the Spade Nation, you know, the battle against Spade Nation since the time skip. That, you know, some of the battles, like, you know, Loro Pechica and them versus Vonica, Asta and them versus Dante, I loved that those were culminations of like a volume or two each fight. Like, that was hype, and I'm glad to see that this chapter again didn't completely wrap things up. I'm just curious, like, maybe next chapter will wrap up, you know, the battle against the anti-magic devil Liebe, and I'm curious to see how it's going to go, because essentially Asta's just using brute force and a katana versus the anti-magic devil, and I mean vice versa. The anti-magic devil's just using like these big hunking swords that he got from the grimoire. So either way, more than likely it's going to end up with Liebe coming to the light and seeing, but I still think he's going to harbor, and it will be interesting. Like, I hope that it's not a complete 180 and after Asta kicks his ass, Liebe's like, I'm good now. Like, maybe he could at the time be tamed somewhat in terms of not being with this overzealous, I gotta kill everything, and then when the time is right and he gets in front of a devil, he just lunges and, or, you know, he takes over Asta's body because he still technically has that right arm and stabs through a devil. He's like, no, I can't get over it. That would be sick, and that would be, again, not completely giving in to the light and friendship, but we gotta wait and see. Curious what you guys think about this chapter. The big question, do you feel as though this chapter felt like it was a 360 look at the series and kind of pushing forth that maybe it's ending sooner than we think? And your thoughts on this battle? How do you feel about Asta versus Liebe? You think it's going to wrap up soon? Like, I'm imagining at the next chapter, so it's going to wrap up, and maybe Noct will have a big role in all this. Who knows? Maybe Noct will jump in the middle and say, alright, enough, you're angry, you're loving, like, yo, just get along. And your overall thoughts and expectations for the Black Clover manga with chapter 270 and beyond. I'm looking to see where this goes, and again, I want to stress, I don't want Black Clover to end. I love this series, but the writing is kind of on the wall, at least in my opinion. So all I have for this one though. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links are in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy. Have an awesome day. Peace in, and Asta, kick his ass already. Let's get this going.
It's nights like this, and times like this, that I can give another hit.